Georgia, if you're listening to us at this moment in time, you're not in trouble. Please contact the police or your parents. We are extremely concerned. We want to make sure you're safe and well.
This is the case of Georgia Williams. Georgia Williams was born in England on the 7th of September 1995. She was an intelligent, funny, happy, bubbly girl who had an incredibly loving and supportive family who she lived with and went to for advice, love and support. She lived with them, her father Stephen, who was a police officer, her mother was called Lynette, and she had a sister named Scarlett. Georgia was a straight-A student, a head girl at her school, and outside of school was part of the Royal Air Training Corps cadets. She dreamed of one day becoming a Royal Air Force paramedic. Georgia enjoyed most sports, she loved being outside, and had an infectious smile and personality. She was very popular among her friends, and as she became old enough to work, she took on a job to make extra money at a local petrol station not far from her home. She quickly made friends with her colleagues, one of them 23-year-old Jamie Reynolds. He was a little bit older than her, he'd been in her sister Scarlett's year at school, and not long after working there, Jamie had made it quite known of his feelings towards Georgia. He flirted with her, told colleagues that he would love to go out with her, and again, of course, it got back to Georgia. She already knew how he felt towards her, but the thing was, Georgia did not share the same feelings towards Jamie. Georgia already had a boyfriend that she cared for. It put her in a slightly awkward position because she worked with him, and she didn't want to have to tell him that she wasn't interested, but it left her with no choice, so she had to reject his advances. It did not stop her spending time with him along with the group of friends from work. Georgia remained polite, fun and friendly, not wanting him to feel awkward in any type of way. Jamie had told Georgia that he had a keen interest in photography. Although he worked at this petrol station full time, it was not what he wanted to do with his life. He was interested in making it a career for himself, possibly going to college and university, and Georgia encouraged him as a friend, telling him to go for it, to do what he enjoyed, what he was interested in. Jamie then asked Georgia if she wouldn't mind modelling for him, as he was putting together a portfolio that he was going to take to college, and she agreed. Anything to help a friend. So it was set. On May the 26th, 2013, the pair had agreed to meet at Jamie's house to do this shoot. That evening, her parents had been having a barbecue in the backyard. Georgia had got ready, and at around 7:30 p.m, she said goodbye to her family, telling them that she wouldn't be back late. As the hours passed, and with no sign of Georgia by about 10:30 p.m, her mother messaged her asking when she would be home. Georgia messaged back telling her mother that she'd not quite finished but wouldn't be long. She finished her message with 3 kisses that she would usually send at the end of the messages. Jamie had only lived a few minutes away on foot, so her parents did not expect her to be too much longer. So they went to bed. But the following morning at around 6:30 a.m, when her mother Lynette woke up, she put her head in on Georgia's room, but she wasn't there. Her bed did not look like it had been slept in. Had she not even come home? Her mother was quite confused and concerned, remembering the message saying that she would be home soon. Lynette messaged Georgia asking where she was. Lynette got a message back a couple of hours later saying, stayed over at friends. It had been late when we had finished and I'd forgotten to message. She finished the message saying, my battery is dying too. Lynette was quite concerned. This did not seem like her daughter. She would never just stay out without telling her. She was very reliable. She was a thoughtful girl. She would never want them to worry about her. That day, Georgia was due to do her first ever driving lesson, which she was excited about. She was also supposed to be going to a music festival. So when Georgia missed both of these, then by the following morning, Georgia had been missing for 2 days. Her parents now very concerned. They contacted every and any friend Georgia's that they had the number for. They contacted her work, the cadets, everywhere and everyone. And each time they were told that Georgia had not been seen, they became even more concerned. Georgia's boyfriend made a public appeal on Facebook asking if anyone had seen her. Her phone was also going straight to voicemail, so Georgia's parents went straight to the police station to report her missing. The only info they could remember was Georgia telling them that she was going to meet one of her friends from work called Jamie Reynolds. The police filled out a missing persons report and set about looking into this Jamie. Police systems showed that in 2008, when Jamie was 17 years of age, he had received a final warning from police after trying to put his hands around a young girl's neck. It was said that he lured her under false pretenses before doing this. Georgia's parents were now absolutely terrified of what had happened to Georgia. Knowing this information made everything 100 times worse. What was this Jamie capable of? And what, if anything, had he done to their daughter? As mental health teams at the time had visited Jamie, his parents had told them how he enjoyed violent photography and films, things involving rape and vacation. Police had also at the time found photographs of young girls in school uniform, photos that he had drawn over where he had added ropes to their necks. It was said at the time by police that he posed a significant risk to young girls, but for whatever reason, police took no further action against Jamie and he was free to carry on living his life like nothing had ever happened, with police saying in their words that the case had been suitably resolved. But that was not all they had on their systems. In 2011, he had come to police's attention again, this time after a girl had refused his advances. She was driving home when Jamie had purposely crashed into her car. But for whatever reason, links to the initial case were not taken into account or they were never linked. Getting back to this case, police were now looking for this Jamie and wanted to speak to him. But what was he capable of? And knowing he was possibly the last person to see Georgia, they needed to speak to him and fast. Unfortunately, they called at his home, but he was not there. So, using CCTV imagery and number plate recognition cameras, police were able to track Jamie to a cheap hotel over 300 miles away in Glasgow, Scotland. Cameras inside the hotel showed Jamie walking through the door, but alone with no Georgia. He was also spotted in a car park changing his clothes next to the side of his van. Shropshire police contacted Scotland's police and they quickly found and arrested Jamie Reynolds, who was taken into Glasgow police station for questioning, where he told officers that he had not seen Georgia and certainly had no idea where she was. But given his background and the fact that he was apparently the last person to see her that night, police did not believe him. Why had he driven 300 miles away? He had not told work that he was going on annual leave. Jamie Reynolds was driven back to Shropshire, where the following morning he was going to be spoken to again by police. That morning at 5:30 a.m, Georgia's parents woke up to a knock on their front door. As detectives arrived, they knew instantly that the news was not going to be good. Police filled them in on everything they knew so far. They told them how they'd found Jamie, but that Georgia wasn't with him. Police and forensics arrived at Jamie Reynolds' home to do a fingertip search to see if they could find any clues as to what had happened to Georgia. Inside, they found Jamie's camera, which contained a memory card. With this, the sickening case of what had actually happened to Georgia started to become evident. Despite the fact that Jamie had tried to delete most of this footage, he had not. It showed Georgia had been made to stand on a box with a rope around her neck. She looked scared and upset, being forced to stand on it, when suddenly and without warning Jamie kicked the box from underneath her, and as you can imagine, the rope tightened around her neck, leaving Georgia hanging lifelessly from it. He took photos from every angle before taking her down, unbuttoning his trousers and getting on top of her, before doing the unthinkable to her dead body. Jamie Reynolds was charged with murder, but he still refused to tell officers where Georgia was. Could it have been anywhere between the 300 miles he had driven to Glasgow? A timeline was drawn up of Jamie's movements from the night that Georgia had disappeared. It showed that the following day he was seen on CCTV at a local petrol station. They did not know at the time, but Georgia's body had been in the back of the van at the point that he was caught on CCTV. After this, he drove 60 miles to Wrexham in Wales, where he sat and watched a film in a cinema. Police asked the public for their help They told of Georgia and how she was missing, and that this Jamie Reynolds was now in custody. They asked if anybody had seen him and his van to call in and let them know.
Urgently need information about a vehicle driven by the suspect.
Highest van CX06ASV.
Many people called in to say that they had helped Jamie after seeing him stuck in his van in the mud. After police heard this, they knew they were closing in on finding Georgia, and 5 days after she had gone missing, police found Georgia's body. She was found naked in a wooded area in Wrexham. On the 13th of December 2013, Jamie Reynolds stood in court in Shropshire, where he pleaded guilty to murdering Georgia.
It's important today that Jamie Reynolds has pleaded guilty to the murder of Georgia Williams. It's important for the family, it's important for the community of Wellington, and it's also important for her friends. What this enables the family to do is actually to grieve for Georgia without having the burden of that trial, and enable them to move forward, despite the fact that their loss will never be diminished.
On the 19th of December, Jamie was given a whole life order, meaning he would never be released from prison. This is an order of the highest punishment in the UK. He was one of the youngest to have ever been given this. In 2014, Jamie appealed his sentence, to which it was denied. Georgia's family were angry at how this young man was able to roam the streets after his previous history. They fought against this and an investigation was undertook.
Georgia Williams was killed 2 years ago. Her parents said they knew how it felt to be truly broken-hearted. Now a serious case review has found Reynolds had attacked before, but West Mercia police failed to act.
These officers in here shouldn't sleep at nights because they let Georgia down.
Their failings led to our daughter being killed by Reynolds,
which saw West Mercia police serving 6 misconduct notices to members of staff. Families set up Georgia Williams Trust to honour their daughter, helping young people just like her fulfil their dreams and passions with grants and sponsorships. The local public raised over £2,000 for a memorial bench where people that knew her could go and sit and talk to her, remember her for who she was. The loving, caring, thoughtful and intelligent young girl whose life was taken far, far too soon.